kids. So I've just got back from a trip to Costco and I'm going to show you what I got. So we'll start on here. We've got 6 loaves of bread. This is the one that stays the softest for the longest and we all like it, so it's what we're using. That's my microphone cord. We've got some noodle soups for my husband. He enjoys the prawn wonton tom yum soup. I've got 2 lots of the gluten-free pizza bases. They come in a pack of 4 and they just leave them in the freezer for our daughter who has celiac disease. She often has a pizza for breakfast just with cheese and pizza sauce. Some shredded pizza cheese. They didn't have any of their bulk mince, so I just got this frozen lean beef mince. It's similar in price to what they usually have, so I'm interested to see how it goes. We go through a lot of mince. I got 2 lots of chicken thighs. They're about 2 kilos each. Yeah, 2 kilos each. And I'll portion them up, so I'll show you how I do that. Got some cocktail franks, also portioned those up for the kids. I'll show you how I do that. 3 lots of the tortillas. They come in a pack of like 3 little packets of 12. We go through a lot of wraps. I got 3 litres of milk. 3 lots of butter spread for the family. This variety pack of Ziploc bags. You get the medium, the large, the snack and the sandwich. I think it's just 1 box of each. It is just 1 box of each. Garbage bags. Some apples. These are little ones because my little kids eat half an apple and so now they only have to eat 1 instead of throwing half an apple away. Freddos for the snack drawer. Big tub of Vegemite. We go through one of these a month with just the 2 little kids and my husband. And some Baby Bell snacking cheese. I normally get the string cheese mozzarella, but they didn't have any this time, which is very frustrating, but this was on sale, so I got that. And on the other side, I've got some of these mess-free colouring things. I just got 2 each for each of the kids. Come in a wide variety of flavours. They're just like magic pens that when you colour, it colours in the paper. So they're $9.79 each, so not incredibly cheap. But I just find I keep them in the cupboard for like rainy days and it keeps them occupied for quite some time without making a huge mess. This apple and oat crumble loaf, I slice that into 10-ish slices. Pop that in the freezer, my husband takes them for work. Snacks, I'll show you how to do that a bit later. This set of like, I don't know, treats, I have seen that for a couple of times now and I've wanted to try it, but it's $30. But they are on special at the moment to like $12.50 or something for the 3 lots. So I thought I would try it at that price. I probably will never get it again, but we'll see. Apple juice pop tops, they come in a pack of 24 for our eldest who loves apple juice. She just has one every day if she thinks about it, otherwise we don't remind her. These muffins are brown sugar and cinnamon. They come like 2 packs for $10, I think it is. And we chop them in half and put them in the freezer, so I'll show you how to do that in a minute. This stinky stuff for the washing, I don't know what it actually does, but it just makes our laundry smell nice. So I get that. Usually when it's on special, but I'm running out, so I thought I'd do that this time. A giant pack of Doritos for my husband. My daughter would normally eat these, but Doritos are not gluten-free, so he just has them in his office and doesn't let her eat them. Little individual butter chickens from Heart and Soul. You just heat them up so they're shelf stable, so we have those in the pantry all the time. These we haven't had for ages, fruit snacks. They may contain for gluten, but they're gluten-free by ingredient, so we're going to give them a go. If the eldest doesn't like them, then the little kids will eat them. Just a little packet of lollies to have occasionally. These Cookie Bear cookies I've enjoyed, the little kids have enjoyed also. So there's 42 packets. It comes with the stripy ones, the choc chip cookies, and the hundreds and thousands cookies, and they like them just randomly whenever. And then Mum's supply of jumpies because your gal's addicted. Anyway, that's what I got from Costco. I will finish this here, put some stuff away, and then I'll show you how I organise the stuff that I repackage for our freezer or fridge. See you soon. So this is our pantry and our little snack area. these are for the kids. So the Cookie Bear stuff is here. And I put the lollies in there. So we've got some old ones, which I'll put on top, but I'll empty the other fruit snacks into there. Then we've just got, usually this is what my husband takes, the Harvest Snap peas, or these little Odie slices, or these ones. Our son, we tried him on these because they're just a bit smaller. He doesn't always eat the whole Odie bar, and I found these smaller ones at Costco. He doesn't love them, so they're there if we need them. I've gone into my stockpile and got some more K-times for this part where my husband takes. These are my protein bars that I have on Thursday nights when I don't eat dinner. And we've just got some shapes there. Little packs of shapes. So I'll top up these K-times. He likes the apple and raspberry, and he also likes the strawberry and yogurt. Unfortunately, the packets aren't super discernible. They just have a tiny little thing here that tells you which flavour it is, but they all look the same, so he doesn't care. I just chuck them all in, and he just will grab one in the morning to take to work, or as last night maybe in the middle of the night when he got called to go to work at midnight, so he went. Then we've got these chips, which I got as like a Costco mixed pack. Our daughter, who is gluten-free, doesn't love the light and tangy thins, but she does love the plain ones. She likes CC's. I eat the honey soy. So we just have a mixed bag, and then I found these half lots of junkies, so I'll chuck them in there. So she knows that anything in this tub is gluten-free. She can have any of that stuff. We are learning to navigate celiac disease. So that's the chips. She knows she has to ask anything in these two little ones, and she knows that she can have the lollies, but she can't have the cookies and stuff. So we are getting there. This is her shelf in the cupboard. So she's got gluten-free Oreos, some marshmallows. She likes dried apricots. Anything in these containers she knows she can have, or anything on this shelf she knows that she can have. So she loves chips in a can. We got the rice bubbles, her pasta, and then her cereal and this maple crunch. She doesn't love this, but it is there anyway. And then we've got these rice puffs. I think I'm going to mix them in with the Cocoa Pops because she doesn't love them, but she'll eat them. So I might mix them in. Let's just do that now. Just mix it up so that she gets some Cocoa Pops and some rice balls when she has her cereal. That's all good. Where are the lollies? Obviously these are not all going to fit. All the kids know that any of the snacks that are down here, they do need to ask if they can have them, but they can have whatever they want. Yeah, I just find that when they have access to a lot of snacks, it doesn't become, they don't gorge on them, they just eat when they're hungry, and yeah, it's helpful. So that's that done. All that rubbish. Alright, we'll come back. Alright, so I don't know how the sound's going to go on this because my microphone is not wireless, so we will see how we go. I'm just going to take you through me taking everything out of its stuff, basically. So with the cocktail franks, we normally eat, I put them in lots of 8, so 8 franks, or 10, I think it's 10, fit in my containers. So 10 franks to a container, and that way when we get them out, and the kids are having them for lunch or whatever, I only get out what I need. It's cheaper to buy in bulk, so that's how we do it, but we only get out what we need, which means we're not wasting. So if they don't happen to eat all the things on their plate when we make them for them, they'll go in the lunchbox the next day, or they'll have them the next day. and then if they don't get eaten, then they go in the bin. So I find that we have less wastage when we freeze things in portion sizes that we use over a few days, rather than freezing this whole pack and then having to use them all at once, because they don't really like eating them that much. So back in another life, I was a Tupperware lady. So we have lots of containers. So I use them as much as I can, and then when I don't have any left, then I use the Ziploc bags. Yes, 10 fit. So it does take a little bit of preparation on Costco day, but I think the preparation is worth it because I'm not wasting time at other times during the week. I have washed my hands also before I started doing this because I'm touching them with my gross hands. I think I do 10 as well because the packet perfectly goes into 10, if I remember correctly. No, it doesn't. One has 8. On that day, we just have less. I have 3 kids, so 10 only gives them 3 each anyway, which isn't a great deal of cocktail sausage. Alright, and then, just for convenience sake, I have masking tape and a texter, and I write on the masking tape, Franks, because we all know what that means. Oops, a big blur. Knocked it with my dirty finger, my wet finger. So when we cook these, because it's a cooked product already, we take them out in the freezer. Sometimes they're still frozen if we haven't thought of it in advance. But you just put them in a pot of hot water, bring it to the boil, and they defrost very, very quickly because they're so small. And then my kids, of course, don't like the skin, so I have to peel the skin off. But I can't get the skinless ones in bulk unless I go to the deli, and in the deli we can't get food from the deli as a celiac because there's a risk of cross-contamination. So unless they give us a fresh bag, which I can't be bothered asking for, or I can't ask online to do that, I just get these because they're basically the same price and all I have to do is peel the skin off. So these will go in the freezer and move on to the next. Alright, so next is the chicken. So basically do the same thing with the chicken thighs as I did with the Franks, put it into a manageable portion size so that when we are eating the food or when we're defrosting the food, I don't have to defrost a whole pack, but I also am going to defrost exactly what we use for a meal. So for our family, we have 3 kids, 2 adults, 1 of the children, the eldest one eats, and the same portion as we do. We've both had bariatric surgery, so we eat a smaller adult portion. She has the same size food we have. One child refuses to eat meat. The other one sometimes eats it, sometimes doesn't, depending on who's her best friend on the day. So 3 thighs is plenty for us as a meal. So I put them in 3, so when I freeze them. I try and look at the pack size as well, and if there's like big ones, then I do big and little. But 3 fits perfectly in the container. And then we just get this out the night before to defrost, because we meal plan fortnightly, so we always know what we're having for dinner the next day. And that is how our life works. We're pretty set to our plan as well. We don't generally change it around unless something major has happened in the house in the day. Because we just don't dare. I love it when it all works out and it's got exactly the right amount in there. Now I've run out of containers, and I do have more lids because I've got the deeper, these containers come in a deeper size, but the deep size is too much wasted space in the freezer. So once I'm out of containers with the Ziploc bag, because I try, I do my best. We don't reuse the Ziploc bags because the gluten and issues with if it was a gluten-free product or not a gluten-free product, and we don't remember, so we just don't reuse the Ziploc bags. But as I said before, I'm happy with that consumption of that because it is not all the time. Some things it is. Right, and again with the tape, I don't write on this one, obviously, because you can tell what it is, but I just write 5. We generally eat thigh meat. I just find that the kids eat it better, and one of our children also has an unexplained vomiting condition where she just wakes up in the middle of the night and spews randomly, and we have found that with chicken breast it happens more often than with chicken thigh, so we are reducing the spew. I don't know if it's a chewing issue or if it's a reflux issue, but they can't seem to get to the bottom of it, so we just do what we can to reduce it. Doesn't happen every day, doesn't happen every meal, doesn't happen with the same meal predictably, it just is what it is. And it's incredibly frustrating to not know what it is, but alright, into the freezer we go. Right, that's that. The wraps, we have the wrap container. These wraps have a really long shelf life. This is best before May of next year, and it is October now. So we only get out what we need. We'll easily go through 24 in a week. And these will go in the stockpile. So next is the pizza cheese. Comes in 1 kilo bags, and we just freeze it. It lasts longer. And it fits perfectly in these freezer containers. These are Tupperware, so you can't get them anymore. So they just go in the freezer, and we literally pull the container out and break off the chunk and use it in whatever we're using it in. And then it just gets stored usually in the freezer in the kitchen, and then we keep the other one or the spare one in the bigger freezer in the garage. And that way we don't have any waste. If it does start clumping together, just grab a fork or a knife or something and stab it or shake it to break up the lumps. It doesn't happen often then. We currently have a half full one in the freezer here, so I'm just going to take these downstairs. Next is the loaf and the muffins. So I will chop those up. And I do use Ziploc bags for these because of the gluten. It's just easier to keep a handle on what is good and what is not. So these are single use. Tupperware once you've used them. Probably not the most environmentally friendly, but we choose what we do. And this is what I choose. Half is enough for us. Just as a snack, if the kids, the two little ones who don't have celiac disease will share a half. I generally have half and then half later, like half of the half. I don't know what my husband does with this, he just takes them to work.
So by this point in the day, my husband had arrived back home from work and he is currently sanding our dining table, which is very, very old. So the sound on this is just him sanding. So now I'm cutting the loaf. I'm regretting my decisions because I have not cut it evenly, and that piece on the end is really, really big. But anyway, just chopping it into pieces to put into the Ziploc bags. You might be able to hear the sanding now because he's still sanding and it's the next day while I'm doing this voiceover. I've also discovered some editing options. So I figured out how to speed up the video. So this is me at double speed. And you can also hear my darling, gorgeous children in the background. I usually do this kind of stuff when they're not home, but I want to get this video out ASAP. So I am doing what mums do and just multitasking and hoping for the best. And that's pretty much how I get through life. Just wing it and hope for the best. Anyway, as you can see, packaging up the loaf to put in the freezer. Changed my mind on that last piece, and I'm chopping it in half because it's too big. And then, yeah, I'll take that out to the outside freezer again. Alright, so now we're onto the sandwiches, and I generally make just ham and cheese. So I freeze them in the Ziploc bags. Again, single use, I understand it's wasteful, but it is the way that they stay fresh in the freezer. Convenient to just take one and go. Yes, anyway, so we have butter, ham and cheese, and I usually have them toasted. My husband normally eats one fresh on the way to or home from work. They're really handy to have if we're going out somewhere, and I make lunch boxes for the kids, but I don't do that for myself. So I just take a sandwich. I try to make up 2 or 3 loaves worth at a time, just depending on what I have on hand, ham, cheese and margarine and bread wise. Sometimes the gods align and everything works out and I can make heaps, and other times, like today, I don't have enough freezer space. So I'm just doing what I can to get a little bit ahead. It stops us from going and getting convenience food when there's nothing else around. So yeah, that's how we keep our costs down in our household. So speeding myself up again, just because I want you to see me like doing it, but not actually taking forever to do it. So yeah, I got a little bit of a production line going, just 2 sandwiches at a time. Butter, cheese, ham, flip it over, chuck it in the bag, start again. I find if I get myself too spread out on the bench, it just makes a big mess and I don't actually go any faster, but this size is manageable. Yeah.
So this is where our freezer is in our garage. Currently got a dryer here that we haven't opened yet. Very proud of myself, but I think the time is coming because I'm not keeping on top of the washing. So we currently have the freezer outside. I've just filled it with everything that we got. So in here are the pizza bases at the back. This is all the chicken thigh and it goes back a few deep. There's some leftover cheese from last time. And in the front here there's just a little pizza. And these are some steaks pre-portioned that I did last time I went to Costco, so I just haven't been eating them, so I need to do that. I just take one out the night before and cook it up for lunch or breakfast. Trying to be high protein, it's not really working out for me. So this is the pizza cheese. Back here we've got all the cocktail franks, they're all lined up, and there's some meals that I made the other day, and then here we've got some fish fillets that we are still using, and right at the back is the other pizza cheese. Then we've got drawers. So this is some pasta that I've cooked up. These are some chicken tenderloins that are pre-portioned. There's just 3 in a pack, so it's enough for a lunch for me. This is that mince that came from Costco today. It's in 250 gram packs. So I normally freeze my mince in a 500 gram pack, but I'll just get out 2 when I need to use them. What else is down? Some bacon. That's just in like 4 slices, so it's whatever we use for a meal. Some bread rolls. In here are all the sandwiches, so those 2 containers fit in the back and in the front, and I've got some sausage rolls and chips that I use for the kids' dinners. In here is all the bakery stuff, so there's the extra loaves of bread that I didn't get to make sandwiches with, and then the loaf and the muffins, they're all just chucked in there. I find that if I try and put them in a box, it doesn't work. Then in here we've got 2 of those noodle soups because they didn't fit in the other drawer, and then just all bits like the schnitzels and tenders. My husband has potato cakes, some frozen veggies, turkey breast and some fish fingers. And then this bottom drawer is like our ready meals, so there's a couple of meat pies, the other 2 noodle soups, and then just a range of like frozen meals basically. So if I don't have anything for lunch, or if my husband wants to take something different, they're just there. So that's our outside freezer, and then our inside freezer has like more regular stuff that we use, but this is like 10 steps away from our kitchen, so we use it all the time.
So just at the end of making the sandwiches, I wanted to show you what happened to the cheese. So it's got like crusty bits on the edge because we didn't store it correctly. The lid wasn't on this one properly, and it always has a little bit of juice in the bottom. So this is the little container of the last one that I finished. So it does have a bit of juice, but that one is actually stuck to the bottom. So the one that I didn't seal properly, half the cheese is ruined, which is really unfortunate because I bought that last time we went to Costco. So it's about 3-4 weeks ago. And yeah, it just didn't store properly. So that's unfortunate. I had to chuck that whole stack of cheese out. But yeah, these containers are actually really good. Also, again, Tupperware, no longer available. But if you can get them on Facebook Marketplace or whatever, they're amazing for storing deli meat and cheese. So yeah, that's it. I'll see you next time. Ask any questions below.